I'm down at Lake Washington. We're in Kirkland here at the waterfront. The winds today are like 25 to 35 miles per hour, and so there's actually a little bit of a surf out here. I'd love to get out on the sound, but I haven't been able to find somebody to go paddle with, and I'm not going to do it alone. So yeah, I got Freddie out here. He's going to stay on the shore though. He's going to watch from the shore. Not today. You're going to stay in there for now, okay? You're going to stay in there. Not want to turn into the wind. Not for nothing. Right about now, you expert sea kayakers are probably laughing your asses off. But for the rest of you, let me let you in on what's going on, which I figured out only after I got off the water. First of all, this boat is 18 feet 10 inches. That's about as big as they make sea kayaks. This is an expedition boat. Most sea kayaks are in the 15 to 16 foot range, maybe a little more than that. What that means is I got a lot of sail area on the side of this boat that the wind can push against. Now, typically, a kayak, when you're paddling in a crosswind like that, will do what they call weather vaning or weather cocking. That is, it will tend to turn into the wind. And the faster you paddle, the more it will tend to do that, just through the forces that are going on. So the typical way you respond to that is you either paddle on the other side and steer with your paddle, or if you have a rudder or a skeg, you'll put that down. And that's what I did. The problem is that when you're in a 30 mile per hour wind, the forces are a lot stronger. So the reaction isn't quite the same. Here's a toy kayak that I have. Now, normally, when you're paddling and you don't have anything down, you don't have the rudder down, you don't have the skeg down, the boat is going to rotate around the center of mass, which is where you're sitting in the middle of the boat. So you can steer it and pivot it very easily. But if you're weather cocking, it's going to start to turn into the wind all the time on you. So you put the rudder down. Well, when you put the rudder down, now that end of the boat is pretty fixed in the water. That is, it doesn't slip sideways. So the boat doesn't just pivot where you are, it pivots around the rudder or somewhere in the middle there. And when you're in a strong wind, that end is acting more like an anchor. That is, it's not going to drift to the wind. So when the wind is pushing on the side of the boat, it can move that whole side of the boat around the rudder. Now, no matter how hard I push and push, I'm not going to be stronger than the force of a 30 mile per hour wind on the entire side of that boat with that much leverage. So it kept turning me away from the wind. Wow! I cannot get it turned. Jeez. The rudder is full left. If I had put the rudder up, then the boat would just slip sideways to the wind. But at least then I could steer it and turn it into the wind and counteract the wind forces that are on it. Oh, about to lose my paddle. So, lesson learned, in winds that are that strong coming from the beam, you really got to put the rudder up and just work on steering the boat with the paddle. And that's really what all the good paddlers tell you you're supposed to do anyway, but I was being lazy and I was assuming that the boat was going to weathercock a little bit more just because it was a stronger wind. I didn't think about that rudder becomes a problem in those high winds. Lesson learned, and in a safe place. That's the nice thing about doing that out on the lake in a more controlled situation, is at least then you can figure it out in a relatively safe condition. So when I get out there in the middle of the ocean and I hit some 30-mile-an-hour winds, I'll be ready for it. At least I think I will. Keep the rudder up. You're gonna stay in there. Yep.